Hello everybody. Today we are going to be... Let me try that again. Today we are going to review... My god. One more time. Today we are going to review the movie Sausage Party. I'm glad that took 20 seconds to do that. So this movie is kind of like one of those movies that you would get together with your friends in a garage in high school, probably while getting high and being like, you know what would be a really good idea for a movie? An animated movie about food, where we just make a whole bunch of really raunchy jokes, and because it's animated, we can get away with way much more than we could if we were doing it with real life, like if it was a live action film. And it turned out to be obviously this the shock value of this movie the first time around, oh my god. But once you've seen it, I would say this is a movie you don't really want to watch. Like, I would say like maybe once every like... I would say this is the movie that you would watch by yourself, or you're not really knowing what you're getting yourself into the first time you watch it. So it's kind of one of those movies where you would watch it with somebody who hasn't seen it before, so that you can laugh at them while they're getting the shock value out of the movie, if that makes any sense. Because some movies are just like that. Like, you watch it once, and once you've watched it once, it's kind of like a little bit more meh the second time around, just because you know what's coming, but it's always fun to see other people's reactions to it. So I would say this is one of those kinds of movies. So the main star of the movie, or main stars I guess I should say, is Seth Rogen and Kristen Wiig playing Frank and Brenda. So they are a sausage and a bun. So you can kind of see where that's going. So basically they're in this supermarket store. Now, what is the... Shopwell's Grocery Store. Okay, that was the name of the store that they're all in. And basically their main purpose in life is to be picked to go out into the great beyond by gods. So us humans are gods to the foods. And then when they get out to the great beyond, there's this... They live this lavish life or whatever. Or that's what they're told to believe, anyhow. Until... finally, they find this... actually, one of the jars of honey mustard ends up being returned. And when he comes back, Brenda and Frank have been chosen. And the honey mustard can gets chosen again, and he's trying to say to them, like, no, this isn't what you think it is. It's going to be bad for you. There's also a... Now, the characters' names are just funny. Jonah Hill plays Carl, who is another one of the sausages. Michael Cera played one of the sausages, Barry. Who else? Danny McBride was Honey Mustard. Bill Hader is the voice of the Firewater character, as well as a couple others. I guess he was Tequila as well. But Firewater was the main one. And he's like this... So each of them had like their own, I guess, stereotypical kind of... there was some very stereotypical stuff in this, for sure, which was just funny. And a little bit that I was like, going back and watching it, I'd forgotten about some of it at the very beginning. I was like, oh my god, that's almost crossing the line, but not quite. But anyhow... where was I going? Oh yeah, so the honey mustard is trying to tell them that the world outside isn't what they believe it to be, and Barry starts to kind of believe him as he goes along. It was Barry, right? Jeez. No, Frank. Jeez, why am I saying Barry? I don't know why I had Barry stuck in my head. Frank starts to believe him. So of course, this starts this conflict between Brenda and Frank, whereas she thinks, oh well, now that we're out, I'm not good enough for you, blah 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 blah. You're believing all this stuff that this other guy said, right? So they run into this the one lady in the store selects this douche, and if you know what that is, you know what that is. I'm not going to get into it any further, but so he is the villain in the movie, trying to kill Frank and Brenda throughout the entire movie because he wanted to go out into the great beyond, and because they saved Honey Mustard and everybody fell out of the cart, and so on and so forth. Um, he believes that Brenda and Frank stopped him from fulfilling his destiny, I suppose, so now he's trying to kill them. And he does pretty much whatever he needs to do to get to them and make himself stronger and try to, kill them in the end of the movie. So Barry, I guess Barry was the other, right, Barry was the other sausage. So Barry and Carl obviously get chosen. So they leave, and now Barry is experiencing the real world because it's not what they think. All of a sudden, this lady that's cooking them for dinner starts peeling the skin off the potato, and it's like a gruesome murder scene for them, right? But to her, it's just normal. Like every day, this is what happens when I need to go get groceries. I just cook the food. I'm not thinking anything of it because I can't see this like fourth dimension thing that they talk about throughout the movie. So Frank gets told that he has to go see this Firewater character, which is some sort of bottle of liquor. So Firewater tells him finally that they made this whole story up because they're non-perishables. So that means that they have no expiry date. They're good forever. So the three of them made this story up about how everything in the outside world was this great beyond place because they didn't want the newer foods to freak out due to the fact that it used to be basically a horror show when everybody knew they'd be kicking and screaming instead of, people coming into the store every day and singing a song about how great it was going to be when they got to leave the store. So they kind of created this false reality for the foods so that nobody knew what it was like on the outside world until they actually got out there. And then obviously nobody had ever returned before, so or in a long time, I guess, so they didn't really have to worry about trying to tell anybody the truth. And they actually almost execute Frank in the little hut that they're in when they're talking to him. So, meanwhile, while this is happening, Barry's in the outside world beating all these, I guess, foods and yeah, literally just foods that have been in the outside world for a while. And there's this stoner guy who's taking bath salts, and when he gets completely high, he actually sees all the foods come to life in the fourth dimension. So he's talking to them, but then when he wakes up from his high, he obviously doesn't see them anymore. So now he's just murdering them again, basically. So they do find out, though, Barry actually does return to the grocery store to find Frank, and he is now with the Taco, who was played by Selma Hayek, I believe. Her name was Teresa. I can't remember her full name. And then David Krumholtz played Lavash, who was with them as well. I'm not really sure what a lavash is, but it's some sort of food, I guess. And Edward Norton played Sammy, who was a bagel, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And Sammy and Lavash didn't get along until the very end of the movie. So now we're with Barry, who's returned to the store. It seems that Brenda has been chosen again because she ends up trying to shove herself into another bag of buns to get out of the store. Turns out, obviously, it's not what she thought, so now she's trying to get out of the bag. And it's just a whole big mess, but Barry tells them that they can actually kill the gods. The gods can be killed. And it shows the one scene of the stoner accidentally killing himself with the axe that he had hung above his kitchen opening. I don't know what you would call that. Yeah. the opening to his kitchen, he had like an axe hanging there, and he ends up falling at one point, and he comes down and chops his head off. So now Barry has his head. So they do end up killing the gods at the very end, and then after that, they all just make love. It was just the weirdest thing. If you've never seen this movie, it was just like the weirdest turn of events, from killing to all the foods. Just like, yeah, it was just a very weird way to end an animated movie. But I guess for shock value, it was kind of like, especially going to see it in the theater for the first time, I didn't know that was coming, and then all of a sudden it just sort of happened, and I was like, okay, this is happening. Don't know why it's happening, but they put it in there. They put it in the movie. But anyway, I would say overall this movie was still funny, even the second time around. It's just the shock value is gone for it, because you already know what's going to happen as far as like the most shocking part of the movie, right? So I still would give this movie an 8 out of 10. It's still a funny movie. I would say it's not a movie, not a family movie, that's for sure. Not a movie to sit down and watch with your family, but like a group of friends, for sure. Or just like a date night movie. It's a comedy, so I guess it is sort of like an animated romantic comedy. It's very, very odd to have to say that, but that's basically what it is. Just with a lot of jokes, a lot of edgy jokes. So yeah, I think that's all I can say about this movie. And that's it. So as always, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. And if not, definitely go watch it, because it is worth the watch. And I'm only giving it an 8 out of 10 just because I already knew what happened, so it's kind of stale for me in that sense. But as a new viewer, I would say it's definitely worth the watch, because you don't know what's coming until the very end, and then it's just like, well, that happened. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.